Any idiot can buy a gun from a gun show or on the internet, and there are no background checks.
What's going on, YouTube? I'm back, normal setting, my beautiful girlfriend's apartment. We're talking about, you can see what we're talking about. I don't have to explain this to you. This is the new alt-right pipeline. They've innovated, they've evolved, they've learned, and now they're kind of winning again. At least in my eyes, this is all very much my opinion. This is all based on a lot of what I've seen. I just want to talk about maybe kind of like my experience. I remember I was probably around 14. I really started watching YouTube immediately on a very odd side of YouTube. And these like videos start popping up of like just these random dudes or like these compilations of somebody with colorful hair, and then here's a guy from a stock photo being degenerate on the news or on the streets. And that's really all it was, with some exceptions.
For a 3-year-old child.
The SJW was just kind of like was a label given originally to people that just like were liberal, democratic, and like believed in their ideas and were vocal about it. I think now SJW is used by a lot more people to describe like our virtue signaling, really obnoxious friends that we have roaming around to this day. Here, there's a picture of Steven Crowder. We'll talk about him a little bit, but I want to talk about our main man, Ben fucking Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is the only guy in the world who is at such a constant risk of having the words "kick me" taped onto his back without him knowing. This dude is a absolute dickhead. Around 2016, 2015, 2016, I would see these SJW owned compilations with this little fucking guy sprinkled in on the news. The way he talks is like a mix between Squidward and SpongeBob. What was that one video where he was like, hip hop is not technically music?
There are three elements to music. There is harmony, there is melody, and there is rhythm. Okay. And rap only fulfills one of these, the rhythm section. That there's not a lot of melody and there's not a lot of harmony. And thus it is basically effectively spoken rhythm. And so it's not actually a form of music.
Anyways, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, I think these guys were kind of spearheading it back in the day. Sorry, I'm moving so much. I absolutely love this chair. It's cool from IKEA, and I love my girlfriend's apartment. But if I lift up my feet,
plug,
I just roll away. Anyways, these guys were kind of spearheading it, and you would think that like shit that's just online that you're seeing, like no one else is really seeing. But honestly, I feel like I really saw the effects of this. So I was in high school at the time, and there was a group of people that dubbed themselves the Westerbillies. Westerville is the town that I went to high school in, and these guys were the Westerbillies, dressed up in like Duluth Trading Company shirts, Levi's jeans, big old like cowboy belt buckles, cowboy boots. They had MAGA hats on, and they would fly these big Trump flags. And I knew that this was because of the YouTube videos. I knew this was because of Ben Shapiro. I knew this was because of Steven Crowder, because they were always going around in the hallways saying facts don't care about your feelings. God, there's only two genders. After all of those kids kind of like graduated the following year, there was maybe like 3 left, and then they just died off because they kind of were like, okay, now that there's not like 30 of us, we kind of look stupid. So I guess we're just done doing this. After that kind of died off, some years went by. I feel like this alt-right pipeline thing, the kind of shoving it down our throats, seemed to, I don't know, it just wasn't as prevalent. Maybe I was on a different side of YouTube at that point, and I just wasn't being exposed to it. I know Ben Shapiro is still kind of talked about today, but it's like I'm kind of tired of seeing that little freak, and I don't really think it's not even like fun to clown on him anymore because he's kind of like old material. But a few years go by, nothing really is happening, and a spark is lit. Raw meat. Here I'm using pictures of the world famous Liver King. Now Liver King isn't like the biggest like alt-right propaganda guy. I do think that he spins a narrative that makes it really easy to think that way, but I'm not going to spend all that time watching a bunch of Liver King videos to like see if he's trying to convert people to be Republican. I just don't really care about Liver King, but it's pretty simple. You watch like a video or two of his and you get kind of the gist of what he's about. I do think that a lot of this is the Liver King's fault. His influence and all of that stuff spread massively. Not to mention with the help from the amazing Tucker Carlson, who wrote that book about how soy is going to turn you into a girl. And Donald Trump's advisor warning that they want to take away our hamburgers. Who's trying to take our hamburgers? Hasan Piker. The reason I have this picture titled Manhood Crisis is because the right's fascination with meat consumption is like intimately tied to circulating a narrative about a masculinity in crisis. The male crisis is, Soylent and dudes painting their nails sometimes. This guy right here is what's keeping Tucker Carlson awake at night for sure. The meat isn't always necessarily raw. A lot of it has just kind of evolved into dudes just eating off of cutting boards. You got to be fucking nuts. That shit is so weird. I don't know where this came from, but like eating off of the cutting board, I guess, is a vibe that someone just came up with and it stuck. Here's my thing. I really hate when people try to make their food a vibe. Like, you ever see someone post like dinner that they cooked, like all aesthetic and whatnot, and like looking nice? I hate people that try to catch a vibe from food. It's like, man, you're just supposed to eat it. Not everything, we're getting off course. It's always these big buff meat eater dudes that are slapping the biggest fucking steak onto a wooden cutting board and then eating it on camera in their nice ass kitchen, or sometimes in a fucking field, talking about how to be a man, not like those liberal sissy boys who can't even operate a forklift. How has this infiltrated the youth? How are we reaching the kid? How are we I can't stop burping. How are we reaching the kids? God, we're living godly. This kid, Owen Stubblebean, I think that's his name. He's like, maybe, I gotta guess, like 13 or 14. I can't really tell. Is a young man who makes these really fucking funny videos of him shaming the viewer repeatedly. You already know what it is, nigga. And so, hey. I'm not really interested in harping on the kid too much because he's literally a child, but it's a great example of what this kind of content has done to our children. He carries the same sentiment about eating meat that all the other creators like this do, but there's a video in particular I really enjoy. I think the only point that I had about this video that I just thought was funny is how short-sighted a lot of these things are, and how if you like really think about what they're saying, it's just kind of like made up shit that doesn't really make much sense. Here in this video, he says the Bible mentions eating meat 280 times. So throughout the Bible, they talk about eating meat. And that's good because it's in the Bible, so do it. But what's also in the Bible is this, quote, I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man. She must be silent. 1 Timothy 2:12. I don't know how to read those, but you know what I mean. Here's another one. Slaves, submit yourselves to your masters with all respect, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the cruel. 1 Peter 2:18. Or we're living godly. There's also a story in the Bible where God sends bears to maul 42 children who mocked the prophet Elisha. 42 kids mauled by a bear sent by God directly. That's in 2 Kings 2:23-24. Like I said, if you want to go read all that, you can. I really want to see Owen Stubblebean just send a bear after a bunch of children for making fun of him for like his like stupid hat or his stupid videos or something. I don't really have like a super strong point. I just think it's kind of fun to think about the fact that being like extremely jacked off of like gear and steroids and eating like raw beef and potentially getting diseases from eating off the cutting board that you cooked on is like how kids are getting converted to be Republican at the age of like 13. Obviously, there's a lot of other ways that kids are getting like funneled into this way of thinking.
I just want to sort of summarize my point because I feel like my points in this video were kind of weak. I just wanted to make something. It's not Owen Stubblebean's fault. It's not Liver King's fault, all, individually. I just think it's funny that eating meat off of a cutting board and food consumption in general is kind of the cheese that we're wrapping the red pill in to, feed to the dog. It's just interesting to me how food is such a major divide in like health and fitness. It's like to some of these guys, they can't imagine that you could be liberal or democratic and also eat cheeseburgers and care about your body and, even be Christian. Because you can be all of those things or you can be none of them. I really don't care. I don't have a super strong point. I just think this is funny.
This one just happens to be, in my opinion, bad. Your opinion can be different. You know what I mean? That's really not the point I'm making here. I think it's just funny that meat did all of this. This was a dumb video. I don't feel really good about it. It's not even that funny. Gobi is sick right now. I've been kind of monitoring him, except for when I'm making this video, but he can't poop right now. I need him to poop. He's got a fucked up butt right now. Anyways, see ya.